Hi everyone, and welcome to our first impressions of Wizard of Legend 2. I'm Lumi.
And I am Nox.
And today we're talking about our co-op experience in the first few hours of playing the early access of Wizard of Legend 2. First off, for those who haven't played, what is the Wizard of Legend franchise all about?
Wizard of Legend is a fast-paced spell-slinging roguelike where you chain together magic attacks and take on different biomes with elemental bosses in between and at the end. Its predecessor is known for its tight combat and the sheer variety of spells you can use and builds to play.
Yeah, exactly. So in this video, we're going to dive into how Wizard of Legend 2 takes the idea into round 2, especially when playing co-op. Is there any difference in the type of co-op?
First off, yes. The co-op of the first installment was purely based on local co-op. Also, the co-op was limited to 2 players. Wizard of Legend 2 only supports 2-player currently in the early access, but 4-player co-op is planned for the full release.
I'm curious how this will look with 4 players casting and dashing around simultaneously.
I bet it will be total mayhem. So, the co-op, was it difficult to join? After all, we kind of had our fair share of wonky session joins in the past.
Oh yeah, but in this case, it's pretty seamless overall. You only have to click 2 buttons to set it up, although I'm wondering why you need to switch to online mode in the first place.
Agreed. It couldn't be easier. As for the button, it might be for a discovery or party finder feature in the future.
So, I didn't just join your game to stand around in the hub, right? How did you like the gameplay experience together? Was it any different from playing alone?
Fortunately, the game kicks off in a biome where you first have to play alone, so you get an impression of that as well. The co-op is only available after you died the first time, which for me didn't take quite as long as for you.
Well, I probably just picked a better starting element.
Earth truly was kinda difficult to manage indeed. But I also didn't think I would speedrun my first death.
Talking of elements, how many are there and are they any different than in the first installment?
Well, we got the same as before. Fire, water, lightning, earth and air. For their interaction, however, we will come to that later.
Alright, so coming back to my question, how did the co-op combat play out for you?
I think it gave some strategic depth to the feel, as enemies were now targeting both of us. It felt quite a bit easier.
I think so too, especially as we progressed further and unlocked more spells that played into a certain combat style, like stunning and grouping enemies.
Yeah, it also helps that you sling twice as many spells as a duo. Do you think they increase the difficulty of the enemies to balance this out?
You mean if they scale up if we were playing co-op? Well, from what I could tell, I doubt it. At least from a distance, the enemies felt similar to the single-player experience, including the bosses.
Agreed. I hope this won't be an issue for 4-player co-op.
I'm almost certain they will adjust quite a few aspects until the final release.
Indeed. But let's touch on our expectations later. Did you think being a duo in battle added to the experience? Or do you see any problems that could come with playing in co-op?
It certainly helped not being faced with a game over screen when one of us died, although you can't actively revive your companions. Defeating enemies will drop green orbs that fill a bar when picked up, and thus ultimately revive them. Quite handy.
That's true, although this won't work in boss encounters since there are no enemies to wipe out. But other than that, it gives you another chance at dashing into the next best ditch again.
And you're an expert on that topic.
Speaking of experts, do you think Wizard of Legend 2 lets you be an expert at some kind of playstyle, like trying on the role as a tank or healer?
So the Holy Trinity is only partly implemented, as we haven't encountered specific healer or tank options. But you can play more offensive or defensive if you like.
Yes, it all comes down to your medallions, relics and skills. Medallions boost your stats, like HP or crit, while relics are more versatile, like boosting certain elements or skill types. So to turn to the original topic, it is possible to act as a tank-like role, if you equip defensive relics and medallions and use skills with grouping and crowd control.
Exactly. Now, on the topic of customization, what do you think about the variety of customization available?
Well, compared to its predecessor, there are much fewer spells available, around 15 total, but you have to keep the early access state in mind.
That's true. Also, the character customization is a little sparse at the moment, although that's obviously not one of the key aspects of the game.
Not enough pink?
Not enough pink. And crazy hairstyles.
So, do you think there are only advantages in co-op? Easier enemies, resurrection, role divisions. Sounds like a breezy experience.
Not at all, but it comes down to the people you play with, I guess. Let's take the shops for example. There are multiple currencies being collected in sessions. Chaos Gems, the currency to unlock and progress, is counted individually. So if you find one, each player can spend it freely on their own. Gold, however.
Oh, I know where this is going. Greedy teammates?
Greedy teammates.
Totally agree. You see, while exploring the biomes, there are different shops with relics and spells to unlock. These unlocks usually cost gold, and since the gold is shared, first comes, first serves.
Exactly. And unfortunately, these relics and spells are individually equipped. You can drop them though, for someone else to pick it up. So there is some room to talk things out in case someone goes on a shopping spree.
Still, I can see where this could cause conflicts in groups, especially in scenarios with 4 players, where the gold only allows you to buy 3 or even fewer items.
This could maybe be less of an issue later on. When you get more gold per run, who knows?
Yeah. Another thing I found that could hurt the group dynamic is the accountability of tasks. You see, there are tasks that reward you with Chaos Gems and other unlock currencies. Some of these, however, stand in direct conflict to general group play. Let's take opening chests, for example. This one only counts for the player opening the chest. That's why I still haven't completed it, in contrary to some treasure gobbling among us.
Fully agree and guilty as charged.
Aside from co-op specific issues, did you encounter any technical issues?
Well, the game's foundation is quite solid, but there are some aspects that need improvement until the game is ready for launch. There is that weird glitch where your directional input just stops responding after a map change, after you had conversations with NPCs and events, making it impossible to walk a certain direction for a short while.
Oh yeah, that one is a biggie. Also some issues with map teleportation, where the cursor does not activate the teleportation point, and you have to reopen the map multiple times to make it work?
Yes. Apart from that, I know it's early access and all, but did you also have the feeling that it could profit from a bit more depth?
I totally second that. Many relics lack impact and variety. Also, I wish the spells would have greater synergy.
Talking of spells, I think it's a little weird that you have an unchanging assortment of 5 skills to unlock at any given time. If you don't like the variety, you have to pick one anyway, and it won't be replaced with the next one in line. Also, the slots aren't fixed, so it's very well possible to get mostly the same category all the time.
And that's how I ended up with an absolutely unproportional amount of standard skills. But I totally agree. Also the biomes. Let's talk about the biomes.
Oh yeah, the biomes. There are currently only a few biomes available, more to be added later. They are beautiful though, don't you think? So many details.
That's for sure, yes. But they are also very empty. Sometimes you walk a whole screen without encountering one single enemy. That's certainly a point to touch upon.
I agree. Also, there are some other aspects that need polish. My skills in the beginning had wrong titles and explanations, and the water skills didn't seem to work properly when being close to edges.
Oh, and remember the obelisk where you can upgrade your skills? The unknown currency we were puzzled about. It's actually gold, although it doesn't look like the gold icon.
Yeah, no way. Well, we could have guessed that, but anyway, a little polish on these parts would certainly help.
That's true, but at least on the technical side we had no crashes or setbacks due to the bugs. So that's a plus.
Yeah, that's true.
So what about replayability and long-term appeal?
Actually, I'm currently a bit torn. The replayability of roguelikes is certainly high, and there is also that just one more round feeling in Wizard of Legend 2. But with the current variety of content, I feel like it's not quite where it should be, even for early access.
I feel the same, although there is a progression system centering around increasing difficulty, called runes. It's hard to predict the motivation this will spark on the long run. In short, the rune system allows you to increase the difficulty, but also the rewards of each run, giving you the ability to enable handicaps and other pitfalls. However, since the variety of spells, relics and medallions is rather small, the gained rewards probably soon lack a place to spend them on.
Correct, but I'm confident that these will be added over time. As the developers said, they want to work closely with the player base to improve the experience for the full release.
Alright, time for some final thoughts. How would you sum up the co-op experience in Wizard of Legend 2?
So, if you're a fan of the genre, want to support the game, or like the aesthetics in general, you might consider buying it now. But be aware of all the points we talked about before though. Also, be aware that there's currently absolutely no tutorial, so you have to figure out everything yourself. I might not be a roguelike expert, so this also might be a skill issue, but I found it quite hard to grasp the game mechanics in the first few minutes.
I agree on that. We had a good time for certain, but the limited features of the early access are noticeable, and the price of around $20 not exactly cheap. Also, don't expect an improved version of the first installment just yet. Furthermore, if you want to play this game with more than one additional player, wait for the full release, as it currently doesn't support more than 2-player co-op.
Totally. I think the game has a lot of potential. It just launched into early access, so there's still lots of time for improvement until the final release. We will continue to cover the game during its early access journey and beyond, so consider subscribing if you want to see regular updates.
And let us know in the comments if you've tried Wizard of Legend 2 and what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.
See you soon!